Hey, it's Sam from Sugar Spun Run, and today I'll be making carrot muffins. Today's recipe is a great way to use up any extra carrots you may have in your fridge or extra carrots from your garden. It's just a great, slightly healthier alternative to carrot cake. I think you're going to love this one. To get started, get your oven preheating to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and make sure you have a rack arranged in the center of your oven because that's the one we'll be using. This recipe comes together super quickly, so grab yourself a large mixing bowl, and in this we'll combine 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, and then to up the flavor ante just a little bit, I also like to use a 1/2 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. I did try these cupcakes using all granulated sugar. They were pretty good, but the brown sugar really did make a difference. We'll also be adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I love this addition because what it does is it really helps add height to the muffins, keeps them super soft, tender, and melt in your mouth without drying them out the way adding more flour could do. We'll also be adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then for our spices, we have a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. We're also going to be adding 3/4 teaspoon of table salt because you really need salt to help bring out all of the flavors. Put this away, and then we'll whisk everything together until these ingredients are nicely combined. Try to break up any clumps from that brown sugar. Little extra effort, but totally worth it for the flavor. All right, we can set this aside. We're going to need a separate mixing dish for our wet ingredients. I'm going to be using a sort of large measuring cup. So first we're going to be combining 1/4 cup of melted unsalted butter with 1/4 cup of a neutral cooking oil. If you've been following me for a while, you know recently I have been preferring avocado oil to canola and vegetable oil, but any of those will work here. So I'm going to combine these two. And we use a blend of oil and butter because it really is just what's going to give us the best flavor. Using all butter leaves us with a very flavorful muffin, but it also can tend to be a little bit dry. Using all oil leaves us with a nice moist muffin, but it unfortunately tends to be a little less flavorful. So I'm just going to whisk these together a little bit. Not that they'll combine perfectly, but if my butter's a little warm, this will help cool it down. And we're also going to be adding 1 large egg in here. And ideally your eggs should be at room temperature. Ideally all of your ingredients should be at room temperature. It's just a good rule of thumb for baking unless otherwise indicated. Now we'll add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract, more of that great flavor. And I like to whisk things together here, get that egg nicely broken up before I add our next ingredient. All right, next thing that you will need is 1 cup of sour cream. I do recommend and prefer a full-fat sour cream to a low-fat one. You could alternatively use full-fat Greek yogurt, whole milk Greek yogurt instead. So I'm going to add this in to my dish. Try not to splash myself. I added a little slowly there. I'm going to whisk this into the other ingredients until everything is nicely combined. Whoa, runaway sour cream. All right, let's whisk everything together. The sour cream is fantastic in these muffins because not only does it help make them moist, which they'll already be pretty moist from the carrots, but it also adds such a lovely depth of flavor. I could eat like 6 of these muffins in one sitting, no problem. I might have done that actually. That's why my clothes don't fit anymore. So this will be a pretty thick mixture. It'll look very heavy on the sour cream because it is, and that's fine. So let's bring back our dry ingredients. We're going to add all of this at once to the batter. Get all of that in there. I don't want to lose any of that moisture. And then using a spatula, we are going to gently fold everything together until it's about 50% combined. Now this is going to be a really thick batter. That's totally normal. It's supposed to be. So once things are starting to look about halfway combined, then we'll grab our carrots. So you're going to need 1 3/4 cup of shredded carrots for today's recipe. Now, if you take a look at it, I shred mine to be pretty fine. That's my preference, and I like how that, I like the texture when I bite into the muffin when they're finer like that. You could just use a grater for this. My personal preference is to use my food processor to shred my carrots. I'll first use the shred blade, then I'll switch to the regular blade, and then pulse just a couple of times, a few 1-second intervals until I have this finer texture. I also prefer to peel my carrots before shredding them. It's going to make the muffins look better, and I do not ever need to blot the carrots before I add them into the batter. All right, so 50% combined. Add these carrots. And then we'll continue to fold everything together until we have a nice uniform batter. Anytime you're making muffins, you do want to take care that you're not over mixing things. What that can do is it can leave you with dense, dry, sometimes even rubbery results. This is true with muffins, with pancakes, and with a lot of traditionally creamed cakes as well, like my vanilla cake. All right, I don't want to go any further than that. I do want to clear up some of my mess though. All right, and let's go ahead and divide this into a muffin tin. I recommend lining your muffin tin with paper liners, and this is going to make 12 muffins. We're going to evenly divide this batter. It's going to seem like a lot, that's fine. I always use all of it and never have any issues. An ice cream scoop just makes this job a little bit tidier, and it helps you get even-sized muffins. That one was looking a little empty. All right, for a final touch, we're going to add some turbinado sugar on top. If you don't have turbinado sugar, regular granulated would work fine here as well. I just like the flavor and texture of the turbinado with these muffins. And I don't use a lot. I find a little bit goes a long way. This is actually just a tablespoon of the sugar, and I find it does a great job coating the muffins. I tried these muffins quite a few different ways, including with like a cream cheese glaze, and ultimately the subtle sweetness of the turbinado sugar on top was what was just perfect and was the ultimate winner for me. All right, so we're going to take these over to our 425°F preheated oven, and we're going to bake them for 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, we're going to do a little trick. We're not going to open our oven door, but we are going to reduce our oven temperature to 350°F. At this point, we'll bake another 10 to 12 minutes until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs, and then your muffins are done. This dual baking time is going to help give us those nice tall muffin tops. Now, to keep the muffins from over baking and to keep those muffin liners from getting greasy or oily, what we're going to do is we'll let these cool in the pan for about 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes, and then, just a little warm, so I'm gonna use these oven mitts. We're going to just carefully remove them from the baking pan onto a cooling rack where they can cool completely. And I just use a butter knife to do this. It helps me pry up the muffin and transfer it. And these smell amazing. Your house should smell amazing at this point. They'll still be pretty warm when you take them out of the muffin tin, but it is a good idea to let them cool down a bit before you dig in. But I don't like to let them cool completely because they are delicious warm. And that is how you make my carrot muffins. If you try this, I would love to know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Oh, I love these things. That is a good muffin.